The Hearts of Iron 4. It's your host Dirt Diver here. RTS Gaming Fanatic. RTS, by the way, is real time strategy, and Paradox makes very difficult real time strategy games. This is the Hearts of Iron series. The latest came out in October, I believe, so a few months out. We'll go ahead and start a new game here. You got two starting periods, 1936 or 1939. If you're gonna try to build up a nation, I would say start in 1936, which is what we're gonna do. These are the major powers. You can click other countries here and select anyone to play with, although they are coming out with updates for countries that, say, like Switzerland here. You wouldn't be able to do much. There's not much there. It's all generic. This is going to be France, though, because we're going to try to do this with communist France. In a new update, they added this custom difficulty. So everybody can either be extremely low or extremely high or in the middle. This seems to be based solely on production and technology. So I'm just going to give everybody one uptick. Being on the lowest, I played with China once and it was like 1945 and I'm still using infantry. So it's pretty ridiculous. I will leave it on regular difficulty. Historical, AI focus, and Ironman mode. I don't really mess with historical focus much. And we'll go ahead and start. Loading up the graphics. Alright. So we're going to start with our research slots. We have 3. And we have the victories of the Great War. Land Doctrine. Plus 75% research time. Man, France is horrible. Alright, so we need some machine guns, support weapons. Need to catch up with the rest of the world. We're lagging behind. These assault troops. These are a modification on the Steam store, which mine is Steam. It used to be located in your support battalions, but now you can get them here, which makes things a little bit more interesting. Alright, and so you get your support battalions, as I said earlier: engineering, assault, recon, military police, maintenance, field, logistics, and signaling. Like as I said, your assault pioneer companies, the assault troops pretty much replace them. So instead of just having a company attached to a division, you get a full division of assault troops. Tanks, they're up to date pretty much. Our artillery could use some updating. The siege artillery is another modification from the Steam Workshop. It costs a hell of a lot to make. So be careful if you actually do make siege artillery. Land doctrines, we're still stuck in the World War I age. We're going to move over to mobile warfare eventually. Navy, pretty much up to date, except for our carriers and battleships, which we'll get to later. Our naval battle plans, or doctrines, we're going to move over to base strike. It's a little bit more effective. Air superior, or air power, so our air technology tree. We're going to have to update our fighters. Air superiority is a big one in this game. Air fighters and close air support are the biggest I have found. Naval bombers, you can pretty much protect your coastlines with it, or take out the English Channel, for example, if you just have a bunch of these. Heavy fighters don't really serve a purpose. Tactical bombers and strategic bombers will help knock out factories. And we're going to do battlefield support for our air doctrines, mainly because of the ground support, integration, key point bombing, and battlefield support. Engineering, we will start on this because electronic mechanical engineering is important. We want radios. Radios are a big thing in war. So I really won't go past radios, mechanical computing, and radio detection equipment for a good bit. We just need those radios. Industry is important. We're going to get our production lines going a little bit faster. And then we're going to need to disperse our industry. You got two. You can do concentrated, or you can do dispersed. Factory output plus 20, production efficiency plus 5. The growth is -5. If you look on the other side, output plus 10, retention efficiency 5, production efficiency base 5, production growth 5, factory bomb vulnerability -10. Yeah, dispersed is the way better. Then we're also going to tap into construction because we need to build stuff fast. Remember, we're France. Germany declares war on us rather quickly. And synthetic oil. So we need to get some oil going. Can't drill in Africa forever. But for now, we are going to work on engineering. Our focus tree, we want to get to communist. So we have to go down this road. Although we will not be joining the containment. It's more fun if you try to do things on yourself, create your own faction. So we're going to do government reform first and foremost. We're low on trade, so it says oil. Well, we're going to go to communist, so we're going to trade out with the Soviet Union. So our factories. This is our building menu. Infrastructure, air bases, radar stations, anti-air. You can even build forts, both coastal and land, naval bases. You can convert things, so I can convert factories over to civilian or civilian over to military factories. You can also, when we get to that point, nuclear reactors, rocket sites, synthetic oil, synthetic rubber, steel mills. These two right here, the rubber and the steel, that is another thing that's been added on through the Steam Workshop. I find it, you know, it's rather nice just to be able to make your own steel and your own rubber, rather than having to do the Netherlands for the entire world's rubber. It makes no sense. So that's a good one. Naval dockyards and military factories, civilian factories. All right, so if we go to our production screen here, it's pretty chaotic when you first look at it. Just tick off everything that you don't want to look at. Right now we're looking at light tanks, which we should have. So we have an infantry and just a light tank. We're gonna stick with the light tanks. Motorized infantry, support equipment, and infantry equipment. So we are going to try to get a full production line on each. So even though these are gray, when we build a military factory, it'll just fill in. So it won't keep sending us notifications. As far as, so we'll untick these. Get our Navy up here. So go ahead and cancel all the Navy. France has a pretty big Navy to start off with anyways. So we need convoys. Convoys are going to help with trade. And then we're going to start off with submarines because they are the cheapest and fastest to build. Freeze. Alright, let's see. Alright, so to start off, France does have some in Africa, which can help. We'll start on mainland France. So we'll just go every other one. That way, we're not overpopulated with just one type of factory. And after a few years in the game, it'll pay dividends. By the way, instead of having just a click for each one, I'm just holding shift, so it just does the entire region. It takes a few minutes to set the game up properly, but it is worth it in the long run. Alright, and down here in Africa, why don't we just do naval bases? We don't have to deploy there, but they can help us out. There's one little island here. Alright, and France also has some in Indochina, which is going to be taken over by the Japanese eventually, so we'll just make those naval bases so they don't take any military bases. We have some in the Middle East. We'll militarize them. Oh, no, wait. Scroll down here all the way to the bottom. We'll give these. Alright. Let's see. Is that everything? Is everything already built up? Yep, we're good. Oh. Daddy. Alright. So our production is pretty much set for a while. Now we need to do mainland army first. So mainland army. Come down here. Separate all mobilized troops from the infantry. This will just make things easier. So 40 divisions. We're going to split this army, but just to make things simpler to start off with. Let's go ahead and get all the motorized infantry out of here. So now we got our first tank army. Slide over one more time. Bring together our motorized army. Okay. Then our African units, which are all pretty much, I think these are volunteers. I go to recruit and deploy. I believe these are volunteers. No, they're not that strong. So our African corps. Well, first off, I'm gonna bring them closer because this is ridiculous. Let's see. We'll put all you guys down first. You gotta be careful doing this because you will get attrition. Supplies don't flow evenly, so we may have to spread them back out. Actually, we're going to make them an offensive stance, but instead of scrolling everywhere, we just bring everything together rather quickly. That guy. Three divisions. Okay. This guy, we're going to divide him in two. So now, come on. Okay, so 20 units unassigned. There we go. Alright. So we've got to assign some fronts here. So let's see. Our first front. We're going to go over Germany fast. So front line will be there. And our second one is going to be down here on the Italian front. Both these fascist nations probably don't like France. Then we'll take our tanks stationed in Paris, and we'll take our motorized stationed in Orleans. Actually, we'll station them in Limoges. Okay. We'll play on level 4. This thing's not too fast. Right, we're still 200 oil production. You see everybody's moving to their spots down here in Africa. They're starting to converge. Alright. So for our infantry. Excessively execute battle plans, and then we're also going to make them exercise. We're going to do this for everybody. Exercising is basically training, so we're going to get these army experience points, which will be able to upgrade military that are on the game. Alright, so basically everybody's in a stance. Alright, so we're going to take this guy in the Italian theater and bring him in. So we get to rename these theaters. So we'll just say that this one. Scroll here. German front. Come down. And this one. Italian front. To make things easier if a huge war breaks out. So this is, see, I got a few mods. I got the color buttons on. This one here gives me these cool little icons. It makes things so much easier to distinguish. So you don't have to just keep clicking around trying to figure out what is what. Alright, so these are tanks. So I can scroll click up until I find a tank. We'll make them yellow. I like using bright colors. They just stand out. Whenever you see these battle plans that you can draw out on the map, you got a whole bunch of dull colors. That doesn't, bright colors will stand out. You'll be able to select units and make things happen. This right here is just saying we have no divisions of basic training. That's basically because of logistics. Right now we're 17,000 units in the hole of infantry equipment, and we're lagging behind. We do not have a positive anything except for convoys. So right now our production is lagging behind in absolutely everything needed to fight a war. So we're going to bump this up just once. I'll move things along so something's happening. As you can see right now, our government is democratic. Party radicals. Oh, government reform is done. So the remilitarization of the Rhineland is going to go to war or not. No point in one war right now. We get destroyed. Couldn't supply enough for the war. Alright. So we can't go to communist yet. That's basically because we have to complete this leftist rhetoric. So we're going to reverse Versailles. And then we're going to come down here and we are going to do war industries. We need to get military factories going a lot faster. And right now, you can play around with these depending on what you need. You know, right now we do need military factories being produced. So our engineering is complete. We can come in here and we're going to get these radios going because we need to get radios to our troops. It'll make things a lot easier. Paper communication is not good on a battlefield. This is communists in government. The communist movement in France, fueled by broad dissatisfaction among the working class and radical trends, has grown large enough to lead the formation of several parties. After one of these gained considerable support in the current election, radicals have started debating whether or not to seek support in forming a government of their own. Although they consider democratic institutions to be a little more bourgeois tyranny, they are eager to make changes they want to see through cooperating government. Well, they're going to do reform rather than revolution. So we're going to gain 10% communist, which ironically is what we want. Never played as a communist nation, but I'm sure it'll pay off in the end. Democratic is definitely the hardest to play with in this game. You can't be an authoritarian, which who wants to not be an authoritarian in this type of game? Alright, so our infantry is pretty much up to date. We have the mountains. We don't really need to worry about Marines or paratroopers yet until we get production up enough. Alright, so right now we're going to switch to a production line. We need to get that going. And we're going to support the left. Once again, we're going to try to get to communist. And how do you get to communist? You go left. Alright, fleets. Spanish War. Civil wars erupted in Spain. Several journalists seeking to overthrow the current government in Madrid have issued proclamations A large portion of their Spanish armed forces have answered their call to arms. The right-wing nationalist faction has occupied much of Spain, including the overseas territories. Loyalist forces and volunteers have assembled under the left-wing Republican government, determined to resist the putsch to their last breath. So the Civil War has begun. Now, France, once again, Democrat, we cannot send volunteers to either nation. It would help out if we could send volunteers to either nation, because if you get volunteers fighting in that country, well, if they win, a lot of support. So our assault troops are done. We're going to move away and go get a modern fighter for the time period. It doesn't really matter who wins down here in Spain, whether it be the fascist or the Republican Party, which it looks like the fascists are going to win. They don't really get involved in a war with France unless France is pretty much fallen. So support the left. It's complete on our national focus. And this is talking about the leadership purges in the Soviet Union. Uncertainty has long reigned in the Soviet Union while details are scarce. There have been a series of secret trials on the highest level of both generals and ministries have disappeared from the public eye. Secret trials, excuse me. The natural assumption is that some great conspiracy has been uncovered within the Communist Party, but no official statement has been made. This just goes on to say, pretty much Stalin purged his military. Alright, leftist rhetoric. So we could do the Republican intervention, but we are not going to do that. We are going to go towards communism. You see right now our army experience is going up. Radios are completed, and now we have positive in the infantry equipment. It's only at a 1. That is better than nothing. The Olympic Games are completed. 49 different nations across the world in the 1936 Summer Olympics. First in history to enjoy limited live television coverage. Right. And now we're going to go work on construction. We need to build faster. These right here are, so you get the victors of the Great War, disjointed government, protected by the Maginot Line, and then support of the left. Okay, so these are your national spirits. The victors of the Great War, obviously bad. 75% extra research time on land doctrines. Bad, bad, bad. Disjointed government means daily political cost is plus 0.8, and the national unity is negative 10%. Protected by the Maginot Line, max planning plus 25, the planning speed is negative 25. Once again, historically France thought the Maginot Line would stop anything. That didn't work. And then support the left, so we're going to drift towards communism at 0.2 a day. And right now we're at 43%, while the radicals, Democrats, are on it at 57%. So this is workers threatening to strike following the sacking of 2 workers at the large factory. Struggles between workers and factory owners have erupted across the country. Workers backed by the Communist Party have organized and are demanding better conditions, such as higher wages and shorter work weeks. This will greatly reduce the output of our factories and is viewed as a victory for the Communist Party. We are invited to Matignon for negotiations. Do we give them to their demands or stand firm? Well, if we let them strike, we lose 90% output. If we go negotiate, we lose 30%. We are going to negotiate every bit of output. So our tools are complete for 1936. The next one's on 1937. So we're going to do disperse industry. Get our industry up. Leftist rhetoric is complete. Communism on the rise. So while workers rise up against their oppressors around the world, those who claim to have achieved class concision in France sit idly by and wait for change to come within a political system so thoroughly corrupt. Only revolution could save us from it. So speak now, new voices in the French communist movement, referring to the rule of the Parti Radical as a dictatorship of the bourgeois. They have begun calling for it to be brought out of power by any means necessary, whether those means will come from within or without remains to be seen. Okay, so there may be those in government itself who support such ideas. There's an increased chance of internal support for a communist coup, and then there's also a movement for the people who must seek support from the people. Now, this top one's tricky because it can spring a civil war, and if it springs a civil war, pretty much you're going to get the worst part of the country and you're going to have to win it. Not a good idea, because then you're going to have to go and league with the Soviet Union, and you really don't want to. So we're going to do must be supported by the people. So that way you get the whole country. And now we're going to work on... Alright, so we got leftist rhetoric. National movement. One of the following must be true. Affects national spirit. Destroying government gains national spirit. National mobilization, which grants recruiting population 1% to division recovery rate. We don't really need that. Republican intervention. Republican Spain gains Republican intervention. Opinion France plus 50 national Spain. Can send volunteers. Forces. Yeah, no, not really interested in that. Let's see. We got Air Force, Navy focus, aggressive focus, defense focus. I was running France. 2 infrastructure in Algeria. Metropolitan France, 3 infrastructure. Okay. Well, whenever you start these, you gotta look. You can read at the top, but you need to read down and see what you're gonna get. Because at the end of it, these next few rows are what matter. Each of these takes 70 days, no matter what they are. Once again, Navy. Not really gonna start on that now. Navy won't go until later in the war. We could do Navy. You could do Navy and Air Force and knock it out real quick. Not going to help you much if your Army can't hold off anything. So, if we go the Army route, we'll be able to have pretty good Army, but we need to go this route first. So, I'm not going to focus on the colonies. Honestly, North Africa could fall, and I could care less at the moment. We're going to do Metropolitan France. We need to focus on mainland first. Alright, communist demand and referendum. So, Marxist ideas took up root in France a long time ago, but have gained much more widespread support lately. The movement has spread outside the political theory and into political practice, with disgruntled workers and even some high-profile celebrities working to export. The communists call this class consciousness. The Partai radicals call it a fast track to riots and treason. Showing little faith in Endur Ayerte being willing to implement the reforms they demand, the more vocal communists have called for an intermediate referendum to have the current government removed. While we might be able to reverse the momentum of this mass movement, failure to do so will doubtlessly result in a more popular communist method of removal, aka revolution. So, un-French activities must be stopped. So, political power minus 100. Communist revolutionaries is granted, and change of political party minus 10%. Ignore them. They're just causing trouble. Gains communist revolutionaries, which grants national unity minus 10% for 365 days. The referendum is preferably to a bloody revolt. Politics will change. Communist France becomes the ruling party, or the Parti Communiste, and public elections will not be held. Well, we're trying to go communist, so that sounds better. Alright. Revisit Matignon agreements. Within the recently signed Matignon agreements, our industry have no way of competing with German industry. We are falling behind in production capacity. With each passing day, some factories owners have already started renegotiating some of their rights with the grant that they were granted at the Matignon agreements, with little or no resistance from their workers. We have the opportunity to officially revoke the newly regained worker rights countrywide, but risk them rallying behind the Parti Communiste Francals, or the Communist Party, once again, in hopes that they will back yet another strike. Letting the workers keep their rights and focusing on optimizing current workflow may help reunite the French people and let us grow together. With time, we will be as efficient as before. Gain national base +5. Revoke their rights. Change in popular communist. Well, we're going to try to go communist, so I'm going to revoke their rights. Alright, and we are now a communist country. So, we've achieved that. That is it for this video. This is Dirt Diver signing off. Like, share, and subscribe. If you want to see my next video, just click next. Thank you.